Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is Saturday, February the 17th, 2024, and it is episode 59 of the Wise Guy Sports Show. I am one of your hosts. I am the Big Rican on Sports, Mike Martinez. And with me, as always, is my co-host with the most, Mr. James Crenity, JC Blue Note himself. And Jim, big night tonight for the Wise Guys.
It very much is. We're going to lay all that out here in a couple of moments, but we are going to have to take a little bit of a hiatus very early in the show, and Mike will explain that here in a moment.
So the reason we're going to have to do the hiatus early in the show is we're going to try and link something up with our guest tonight. Not only is he one of the people we've known for the longest between the two of us, he is also the sporting Sith, the master of the NCAA 14 streaming game service on his YouTube channel, Mr. John Rice. John's not with us yet. He's got some stuff going on. Got the kids at home this weekend. So he is doing bedtime like I do normally. Although, dude, Bobby knows when the TV goes off, it's time to go to sleep. I did it at 8:17. By 8:38, I'm walking up the stairs. Bro.
That's impressive.
I got it down to a freaking science with this kid. So, Jim, we had talked about it. John was going to be a few minutes late, which we had anticipated because of the family stuff this weekend. Let's you and I get into our breakdown of what was a very, very, very interesting Super Bowl 58 last weekend, as the Kansas City Chiefs have cemented themselves as the most recent dynasty in the NFL, winning their third Super Bowl in the last 5 years.
Yes, but do we are we firing at the net just yet, or are we holding off until John gets here?
Well, let me ask you this question then, because now all the debate shows and the hot take artists are starting to ask the question, is Mahomes going after Brady? To which I'll say this. Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady have the same number of Super Bowls that don't come with league suspension or fine. So I'd say yes, he is going after Tom Brady.
Well, Mike, if we're gonna have this discussion until John gets here, we need to do this proper.
Hit me.
It's the three biggest topics in the world of sports from the last week. Get ready for the Wise Guys hat trick.
Can I just say the first thing I thought of last week, was it last week or 2 weeks ago?
Last week.
When you did that, was the Crazy Newscasters game from Whose Line? Oh, Colin Mockery, how we miss you.
So that would make me
You're Greg Proops. You're the one with the glasses. It's done.
No, it's because you got to come up with one of his goofy names. It's since I am the resident quasi Canadian here, that would I would with being the hockey fan.
That's true.
I would be Pierre because my bladder's empty.
We are not turning this into a hashtag wars.
Oh man. Because they had some good ones this week.
The breakfast at Casey Anthony's almost made me spit my drink out.
Yeah, that was hashtag ruin a rom-com. But let's get back on topic here.
Sorry. So the question's been asked, is Patrick Mahomes now in the GOAT conversation after this win? My question is this. When is this debate actually going to include all of the information? It's like it blows my mind. You know, you still have people at ESPN talking about 2017 with the Houston Astros, which they should. 4 titles with league suspension, and we're not talking about it? What the fuck is that?
You know, Brady's got 5 MVPs, and he had 4 with the Patriots and 1 with the Bucks. And Mahomes is 28 years old, and he's already got 3 of them himself.
That's the scary thing, is he's 28.
He's tied with Montana for the second most all time.
I mean, and I know, I grew up a Jet fan, so I'm not exactly a Brady fan. I'm not. But again, my issue with this, like we've talked about before, I go to the LeBron Jordan debate, I don't like the context because not all the information is given. It just bothers the snot out of me. But let's go over the game a little bit before John gets here, and let's talk about a snoozer for the first quarter. Whoever had 0-0 probably didn't think it would be a no score first quarter.
Right.
Two very good defenses were on display on Sunday. I did watch the full condensed game because truth be told, I was listening to Kevin Harlan during the game because once Bobby got to sleep, he went to bed late. I was like, you know what? I'm not even fighting with Peacock or with Paramount.
Wait, were you listening to?
The guy is drunk, but there he goes.
Him. Dude, Kurt Warner's really good.
Yes.
And Kurt Warner needs a TV job besides NFL Network. Speaking of a Super Bowl, Brady won when he was cheating. Anyway.
That just reminds me. Now I got to add another thing to the soundboard for next week.
Did you get the thing I asked you for?
I did not.
Damn. I will try and find it. Oh, I know what I'll look up. Anyway.
Let's just say it's another classic Kevin Harlan line.
Is that the no regard for human life one? That was LeBron, right?
He did it twice, but LeBron was the originator.
Gotcha.
And that was over Kevin Garnett too.
He's a punk. But let's talk about one of the things I found to be hysterical about that game was on the Nickelodeon broadcast. Dora the Explorer pops up toward the end of the first quarter and asks who needs the map to the end zone. I knew Nickelodeon was a bit more adult than kid, but I didn't know Dora was going to throw shade like that. But what was it, 10-3 at the half? Brock Purdy, you know what? He looked good. He played really well. And you know what happened, Jim? I'll tell you what happened. Best quarterback in the game, just in the third quarter, decided, you know what? Fuck this. I'm winning this goddamn game. I mean, what else can you see? I mean, let's talk about the special teams play. When we had the longest field goal in Super Bowl history, broken twice.
Yeah.
The kid from San Francisco hits from 55, then Harrison Butker, who's got a friggin' missile for a leg, as Pat McAfee would say, hits from 57. And that thing would have been good from like 60.
Yeah.
Easy. So a back and forth game. We get to a great third, midway through the third, and the fourth quarter was just stunning.
I told you when we discussed it later on in the week, it was the first three quarters were some of the worst football I've seen all season. From the middle of the third quarter on, it was the best game I've seen all season.
Yeah, it really was. But is it just me, or does this Kansas City team under Andy Reid just kind of take maybe a quarter against a team they haven't played in a while and just kind of feel them out? What's going to work? Show them some looks. And then by the fourth quarter, like, all right, we know this is going to work. We're going to run the play.
I think the problem came out of the first half. I think it was the entire first half, personally, because Kansas City couldn't do anything right, and San Francisco couldn't do anything wrong until they got into Kansas City territory and then shot themselves in the foot constantly.
Well, Christian McCaffrey did something that he usually never does. He put one on the ground. Was that the first drive of the game that he fumbled?
Yes.
I mean, how many times has he actually done that in his career? Never mind this year, in his career.
Yeah, because San Francisco was kicking them up and down the field the first quarter and a half. They could do whatever they want and then just couldn't do anything with it.
And, you know, Nick Bosa and Chase Young were getting off the line really well in the first half. You could tell that Kansas City changed some protection in the second half to try and give Patrick some more time. Travis Kelce was basically a non-factor in the first half, which, again, if you look at it from that standpoint and a 10-3 score, that game should have been 17 or even 24-3 at that point in time with the way that San Francisco's defense was playing. But you got to tip your hat to Kansas City's D. They played phenomenal all game. I saw, what was it? They were San Francisco was 3 of 12 on third down.
Yep.
That team was constantly staying on the field all season. They had to have been 50% plus on third down for the year. And to keep them to 25%, that's pretty damn good. So then we get to that fourth quarter. You have Brock Purdy go down and make it 19-16 with another kick. And you gave Patrick Mahomes 1 minute and 43 seconds to tie the game with a kicker who had already hit from 55 or 57 in a dome. Why did we not anticipate this game going to overtime at that point in time?
Exactly. Second Super Bowl ever to go to overtime, and it was certainly better than the first one because the first one was just a choke job.
It really was. Now let me ask you this question, and I'm going to ask John this question too. What about taking the ball first in overtime? What did you think of Shanahan's choice there?
I think it works because with the way that they were able to still move the ball, even though they short-circuited late, one drive, and that ball breaks the plane, and you're hoisting a trophy.
Well, no, because in the playoffs and Super Bowl, the other team gets the ball. And both teams will possess.
Yeah, but at that particular point, San Francisco's defense still had enough in them to clamp down, to hold Kansas City to a field goal, or actually would have had to force a couple of fourth downs when Kansas City would have had the ball.
That's true.
Instead, San Francisco puts the points on the board, puts 3 on the board, and then Kansas City could basically do whatever they wanted.
Yeah, no, I understand Shanahan. He said after the game, he goes, listen, we were playing for the third possession. We thought if we put points on the board, we could hold them to a field goal, and then we're going to get the ball with maybe 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes left, and all we got to do is put points on the board, and we knew we could do that. So I get the point of it. I don't get the fact they lost on the same play they lost on 4 years ago.
Yeah.
They dialed up the same damn play. I'm sitting here watching it, and I get to that point, and I had already seen the play, how they won the first, because I went to bed. Oh, man. He had to be 2 plays before the touchdown. I went upstairs, and I said to Steph, I said, wow, I'm even shocked I'm going to bed now. She goes, what's up? I said, the Super Bowl's about to go to double overtime.
You weren't the only one thinking that.
Yeah, so I crawl into bed and I grab my phone, and she goes, what are you doing? I said, I just want to see what they're doing. And I look at it and I go, oh, Kansas City won. And then I saw the play and I'm like, wait a minute. Wait, no, they did. They did. Andy Reid, you sumbitch. And Andy Reid called that play because a few years ago, Bieniemy was the OC, and this year it's Nagy.
He did it for Bieniemy because Bieniemy is going to be back on the sideline next season.
How crazy would it have been if we would have been right in those prop bets?
I mean, we were right on quite a few of them, but I mean, we'll talk about those in a minute.
No, we will. Let me ask you this: Travis Kelce, what'd you think of that? Not after the game, and we'll get into Nacho Libre, but we'll get into Nacho Libre with John. But the Andy Reid thing, what'd you think?
I could understand because nothing was going right. I am not going to fault him. Did he go a little too far with it? Yes, but I am not going to fault Travis Kelce one way or the other there. Because it could have been Mahomes, it could have been Pacheco, it could have been any one of those guys realizing that, again, shooting themselves in the foot. They had nobody to blame but themselves. And they were lucky that San Francisco short-circuited, late on drives as well. As again, it could have been, a 2-3 score game going into half, and they were lucky that it was only a touchdown at that point.
Oh, absolutely. The other thing about that, Did you watch any of the new Heights clips? Did you see any of them that I had sent you? So basically, Jason called him out and told him that he was 100% wrong, and Travis agreed with him that the way he handled his anger and his frustration was wrong. But apparently, Andy Reid had no problem with it, and basically went up to Travis after that and said, "Listen, dude, I get it. It's why I love coaching you, but I got cameras on me all the time. You can't do that." So yeah, I understand the frustration. I can't imagine feeling like that, just feeling like you can't do anything right, especially for a team that offensively for the last 8-9 years has set the bar pretty damn high as an offensive juggernaut in this league.
Yeah.
So I get it. I get it. Did he handle it right? Hell no, he didn't. He looked like he went to Heights High.
Not unlike the 3 brush idiots that are going to be on this show in a few minutes.
We wouldn't be in a game that big playing football for that school. Don't tell John I said that. So
I was going to say,
Now-
get him out of the way now.
now hold on. John and I were in games that big on the baseball diamond. And yes, I've seen John actually get pissed like that at an umpire.
Yeah, because we've been to state. We went to state playoffs in baseball and basketball.
He was on the basketball team too.
Yeah,
So he's 2 out of 3. Got to give him credit.
which ain't bad.
No, absolutely. Oh, dude, you went there. Very good. Very, very. Wait, hold on. Fucking golf clap. Yo, speaking of.
To steal the line, I know a guy who looks like Meatloaf, talks like Meatloaf, walks like Meatloaf. I guess you could say he's a pinch off the old loaf.
So, anyways, we were watching cat videos with Bobby, and someone used the level up music from Final Fantasy when a cat opened the door. Jackass. Oh. So let's talk about the prop bets, James. For the second time in 3 years, you, Alex, and I wagered on some prop bets. And what did we wager? Oh, that's right. I got to be the first person on the soundboard tonight, but I was going to go with the Kevin Harlan anyway, so it worked out. Not that I'm drunk, but here's hoping. Anyway, so let's talk about the prop bets we hit. Let's talk about the ones we missed. You and I both hit for 5, and poor Alex hit for 3. Isn't that how it shook out last time too?
I think I won last time. I think because of a tiebreaker.
That's right. So, and just so I can say this on the show, I was right. The first commercial was fucking Deadpool.
But it doesn't count because
It doesn't count. I just like saying I'm right because guess what? I say it now and it doesn't fucking matter. Shut up. So I got the MVP, the first score, which no one thought it was going to be in the second goddamn quarter. Over on the anthem, game winner, and closest to the pin with the final margin of victory bonus point. Alex
I won by 1 point because I had 4, you hit 3.
Oh, yeah. Alex had game winner, first score, and over on the anthem. And you had game winner, Travis didn't propose, over on the halftime cameos, and a bonus point for hitting 47 on the nose for total points. I was 58, Alex was 65. John gave me some information that we're going to talk about when he comes on. But one of the things I will tell you that I told him, did you know that people were hammering the under so hard in Vegas that it went down to 46.5 by game time?
I did not see that.
So guess what? Everybody who hammered the under lost.
Wow.
Or hammered the over, excuse me.
Yeah.
So people just blasted the under. It goes to 46.5, game lands on 47.
But
no, I was right the first time. Everybody who hammered the under lost. And anybody who hammered the over at 46.5 won. That was crazy.
They obviously somebody knew something that we didn't. Even though it was a half point, but
Well, I mean, I think it was mostly because these were the two best defenses in the playoffs. All due respect to Baltimore. Baltimore, when tested throughout the year, turned into a bend but don't break. And you can't be a bend but don't break against Kansas City. They will find a way to chip your armor away. And they had an easy first game against Houston. The not quite ready for primetime player as it was. Doesn't take anything away from CJ Stroud. But Houston was not going to win that game. It would have taken mass injury or just something insane like Lamar being Lamar around early for them to win that game.
they shot their wad kicking that snot out of the Browns in the second half.
We will discuss the trade I sent you at another time because he ain't wrong.
We could potentially bring that up next week because of the developing story that's coming out of it.
Yeah.
That will be on next week's show.
I saw that. Are you talking about? I think you're talking about?
Uh-huh.
Dude, that I would probably pee myself laughing. And I can make the pee myself joke because it's not an R. Kelly reference.
Emotional damage.
Holy cow. Hey, you did send him the logon for the show, right?
I did not, son of a
Dude,
bitch.
send it. He's probably sitting there going, where the fuck's the logon for the show?
He did not. He didn't message me yet.
He's probably putting the kids down.
Yeah.
He's solo dadding it tonight. What the fuck, Jim? God damn it, Jim. Oh, can we put that on a soundboard for me to have, please? Is that him right there?
No, that's the timer for the segment.
Oh, okay. Good open, by the way, in my opinion.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Let me open my soundboard up too so I can be
Way this would help. I'll eat that.
Yeah, that you kind of got to. So Chiefs reign again. One more question on this one. What happened?
Nothing. I'm on. I was sending him the link, and my buddy put up photos of something that we're going to talk about in the blast in the second half, and man, does it look awesome!
Well, that's cool. Oh, thank God he said that. Oh, really?
Yeah.
If I can just throw something out there non-football related and say good luck to Donovan Mitchell tonight in the 3-point shootout. And also good luck to Sabrina Ionescu. I hope you beat the piss out of Steph Curry tonight. Yo, Mongo's not good, dude.
No.
Speaking of that.
We'll bring that up because that's one of the topics we're going to discuss. Your wife is just screwed with my head.
What did she do now?
For the thing that she put up on Facebook a couple hours ago about juice boxes.
Bro, I saw that and actually we got friends of mine from out there gave Bobby their like plush foamy type fake snowballs. And I was this close to throwing one at her. Like if you go like this, they feel like you're packing a snowball.
But how does that even work with the bendy on the bottom?
I don't know. It's geometry I didn't want to take, and Ed Weber didn't teach it very well at Brush either.
So let's before John gets here, because he wasn't watching them when it happened. Um, let's talk commercials.
Well, I have to say
We will definitely be able to fill some time until he gets here.
yeah. Now I will say this: the Arnold Schwarzenegger one was hysterical. The Danny DeVito at the end of that was beautiful.
I love the fact that they actually pulled the twins reference.
That was wonderful. I love the one we watched last week when he tells Drew Barrymore to shut her face.
Yeah.
And then Tua, not quite big enough for the moment. I was like, yes.
Some other great ones. We're not going to talk about the one that was the clear winner just yet.
Oh no.
You're going to
No,
say
let's not do that.
Christopher Walken for BMW was classic.
Oh, with the guy impersonating him in the drive-through, that was great.
Everybody impersonating.
Oh, I know. There's a few more that people told me I should have seen, but I have not. Obviously, I watched these on YouTube, not watching the Super Bowl. Ollie, would you knock it off? He's moving the table. He's rubbing his face on it. I don't know what he's doing. What are some other ones that happened? Because, like I said, the Paramount one just blew my mind.
I thought for me it was a top fiver, and it wasn't jump off the page hilarious, but the message was fantastic. It was the one about eliminating Jewish hate.
Okay.
Did you see that?
Was that the one with the guy washed the thing off the garage? Yeah, I actually saw that.
It was so subtle, but it was so phenomenally well done.
Absolutely. And that's actually not a new one, I don't think.
Even so,
it needed to be done. I agree with you. But it wasn't quite a new one. But hey, listen, man, absolutely. You went to the computer again. Do we have our?
No, I'm actually just looking up some of the ones. The Uber Eats one with Jen and David was very good.
Oh, with Schwimmer and Aniston?
Yep.
I saw that they changed that. They had to change something in that. What was the one with Gronk? Like the FanDuel?
Terrible.
Terrible because Carl Weathers wasn't in it, or terrible because it was Gronk?
Terrible because it was Gronk.
Say hi, Ollie.
Worst commercial by far, the E-Trade babies are back.
I heard Pants had a field day with them.
Yes, very, very much so.
Good for him.
Very, very. There was a Jeff Goldblum had an apartments.com one where I guess he was actually like trying to pitch to monster aliens or something, which was pretty good.
I'd still rent from Jeff Goldblum if I was a monster alien.
The Etsy commercial about buying the French a cheese board for the Statue of Liberty was pretty good.
I saw that. That was a good one too.
The LL Cool J Coors Light commercial was very good. Where he's driving the bullet train.
Really?
Yes. Oh, the other one that we forgot was the one that was actually shown in two different versions, and that was the Mountain Dew Baja Blast with Aubrey Plaza.
Yes.
Having a blast. And let's discuss this, because you and I had a pretty good conversation about that. For those of you who didn't actually see it, in the first half they showed the original version, and then I don't know if it was an extended version or a secondary cut, but in the commercial she's in the process of being abducted by aliens, and she's going up the tractor beam and everything. And in the first half commercial, she's going up very slowly and says this could take a while, and then it cuts back to her and she just goes, we literally just in that same tone. In the second half, instead of going we, she goes, "Would you just probe me already?"
Nice. That sounds on par with her character in Bad Grandpa.
Leading you and I to actually have a very, very quick and off the cuff discussion about Aubrey Plaza.
Yes, we did. Again, hilarious. Easy on the eyes.
Very easy on the eyes. Most men in America would actually think, okay, maybe not so much, raising their hand to volunteer at that point, but yeah, she's very hit or miss with a lot of people. But I brought up the scenarios that she's foul mouthed, she's hilarious, she's dry, and she's self deprecating, which ups her sex appeal quite a bit more.
Yeah, definitely not the opens the mouth, makes you want to run away and hide type, which is a bonus at all times. Personally, I mean, just me personally, all the ones we've talked about, that Paramount one to me is the best.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only the best. Again, the pot shot at Tua. But to see John Picard and Professor Xavier turn around and go, Barrymore, shut your face. I'm sorry. That's hysterical. And the look on your face when Creed started playing was well worth it.
And on that note, I'm actually going to deduct all of your points because I ended up watching our show from last week on Monday at work. I go for a walk around the block and I'm putting Creed on because of the reaction that you had me. So Michael is disqualified. So Alex now finishes second.
You're a dick.
Mike has been bamboozled. All of his points were gone. A la Joey and Chandler. So what happens is that when you poke the bear, the quiz master basically gets to change the rules automatically.
It's funny. I was telling you I have two different shows up here on the top of the page. So I have the one we're doing right now, and then next to it is the one from January 20th of last year when you said poke the bear, and I did the Pillsbury Doughboy, and you almost lost your drink.
Which actually turned out to be our best, our number one off the rails from last year.
And it was part of the intro for a while. And yeah, because dude, it's a year today I landed down here. It don't seem real.
No.
But I digress. So I lost all my points, whatever.
Some of the other commercials that were out there that they're actually saying were forgettable was I actually thought this one was pretty good, was Jason Momoa with the guys from Scrubs for T-Mobile.
See, I thought that was really good.
The Pluto TV one was not very good.
Pluto TV is not really good.
Yeah. The TinaFeyBooking.com was probably the worst one I can recall.
Well, she's hit or miss too, though.
She's very hit or miss, but this was a miss on so many different levels. It was terrible. I thought the NFL Sunday Ticket with all of the Eagles and the Seahawks flying was a little bit better than people thought.
I didn't see that one. I'll have to watch it.
But I thought the worst commercial of the entire game was Michael Cera for CeraVe.
Jesus.
You spent $7 million on that?
On Michael Cera?
Yeah. I get that it's Lex Luthor, but
no, that's not Michael Cera. That's Jesse Eisenberg.
Oh, okay.
Lex Luthor.
Either way, they're both forgettable.
Exactly.
Ken Jeong for Popeyes, I thought was terrible.
Well, now hold on.
I don't think it was the worst one, but it was definitely top 5 worst.
I will give them points for the Austin Powers reference. But it was terrible. They unfroze Austin Powers when Dr. Evil came back. They unfroze Ken Jeong when they said they found a better wing. First of all, can't stand chicken from Popeyes.
Never had it, and it's opening down the street. I think the only time I've ever had Popeyes, I got the breaded shrimp.
I had it a couple of times in my life.
The Pfizer commercial was pretty good.
Was that Kelsey in it?
Yeah, it was Isaac Newton to Albert Einstein,
Travis Kelsey.
essentially, yeah, but it's but I thought it was a very, very nice slap in the face to all the anti-vaxxers out there.
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. Let's see what else was out there. Very underrated. A lot of people said it was a miss. I thought it was a hit. Was the Kawasaki ATV giving everybody mullets,
Yeah.
including Stone Cold Steve Austin?
Well, anybody who remembers Stunning Steve Austin, he had a mullet.
Hollywood Blondes.
Yo, we got to talk about what the turn and the other thing another time too.
What did you think of the M&M's Almost Ring of Champions with Dan Marino and
I thought it was a shade fucked up.
it was fucked up, but I thought it was really
well done, but fucked up.
The Scarlett Johansson cameo at the end made the commercial.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
I was kind of hoping she would have taken like some sort of backhanded swipe at Colin Jost as well.
I have a feeling that if she ever does Saturday Night Live again, she's going to be on Weekend Update, and it's going to be nothing but taking swipes at her husband.
Or swipes at Shay for all the swipes that he takes at her.
You know, I would actually want to see her go full Black Widow on Che, to be honest with you.
See, I'm actually on the New York Times website, and they actually said that the Paramount Plus one was in the worst of the bunch category.
I don't understand how. That was hysterical. Maybe the New York Times just don't like Creed.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Think about this. In the same commercial, you had a quarterback who's not going to get his fifth-year option extended. That's another episode. You had Peppa Pig, Hey Arnold, Reno 911, Knuckles from Sonic, who's getting his own damn movie, Drew Barrymore, and Creed. What the fuck more does the Times want?
Who I am seriously considering going to see this fall.
Creed or Drew Barrymore?
Creed.
Speaking of giving an option and what we say with it now, did you see what Marshawn Lynch did?
I did not.
Oh, he was at a casino and he was walking up to people, go, "You a 49er fan?" They go, "Yeah." He goes, "Fuck you." And he walks away.
That's got to get pulled for next week.
He went through the entire casino doing that. And he's got a bottle of Henny in his hand and a microphone.
Henny for a penny.
Dude, it was so bad. It was so funny. I mean, it was hysterical. I tell you what, though, I've listened to Jim Nance's call of that game. Jim Nance is a national treasure that we need to protect.
Yes.
At all costs. And I'm starting to sour on Tony Romo.
I thought his enthusiasm in overtime, I thought it was the perfect compliment to Nance because it was providing the excitement while Nance was trying to balance everything out. It was because you knew the game could potentially end at any second.
I don't know why it did. Usually Romo's excitement like that, it does something for me. I don't know why it didn't hit with me this time. but I digress. It's I don't know why. It just for some reason listening to him do that game, I was just kind of like, eh.
Trying to actually figure out who's got it next year. They're in New Orleans next year. They're in Santa Clara in 26, and they're at SoFi in 27. Who's got Super Bowl 59? Next year. No, that's not what I want. That's radio. Next year, they're on Fox.
So it's Kevin Burkhardt and Tom Brady.
2026, they'll be on NBC Peacock, which will be Tirico and Collinsworth.
If they're still, but I mean, that's broadcast teams right now.
Right. And then 27, they're on ABC, ESPN.
Which is Joe Buck and Troy Aikman.
And then it rotates back to CBS in 2028.
You know, I don't want to hear Brady call a Super Bowl.
I'm also wondering if they're not going to be able to do a Nickelodeon one next year because Nickelodeon is not a Fox property because Nickelodeon's owned by Viacom, which also owns CBS. So we may not get a Nickelodeon game next year.
Well, they did it last year. Who did it last year? Was that
not from what I'm seeing? I'm actually looking at the TV rights now.
Or were they did a Nickelodeon feed for something?
But
maybe I'm thinking of a few years ago.
Yeah, it wasn't for the Super Bowl because this was the first time it was actually kind of simulcast like that.
Okay. By the way, they had the best opening to a broadcast in broadcast history. The Nickelodeon one. The episode where SpongeBob and those boys form the band and do that song. Do you remember that episode, Sweet Victory?
I've never watched an episode of SpongeBob willingly.
Well, let me put it this way. Zachary and Caitlin love SpongeBob. And they have an episode where Squidward puts together a band in Bikini Bottom to play halftime at a football game. They come up and he thinks they're going to be terrible, and they play this rockin' anthem with SpongeBob on lead vocals.
I've actually seen clips of that, but the only times I've ever actually seen it is that they take it and they overdub it with heavy metal.
Yeah, it was so good. And that's how Nickelodeon opened their broadcast.
God, now I'm actually going to want to pull up Job for a Cowboy, who made that thing, who basically made that episode famous because then they referred to that as Job for a SpongeBob.
Nice. Sorry for the weird angles. Just again, I go to the chiropractor finally Monday. Yeah, I'm off Monday and Tuesday. I'm excited.
Yeah, you suck.
Dude, I have still almost a full week to use or I lose it. What happens when I'm taking goddamn time off?
Well, I'm actually looking forward. My partner's going to be back in the office for a couple of weeks starting on Tuesday. So it'll be
nice. Yeah, you were telling me.
Yeah, I won't go into the reasons why, but it's always good to be able to, get the two of us together.
Havoc will be wreaked.
Oh, very much, even though there'll only be like 4 people in the building. And
there's
two,
nothing.
And 2 of them will be in the same 8x20 space.
Sounds like you guys can really conspire against the other people in the building.
which will basically be my boss and for 3 of those days, and the warehouse manager is only there uh, one of those days, one of the 5 days after
That's
she gets there.
that's plenty of time for someone to end up with a prank on him. Yes.
Excellent. Excellent. Because I know they're actually coming, I want to say Monday or Tuesday, to start taking down the rest of the desks.
Oh, you guys are moving, you said, right?
April 1st.
Nice.
It's just interesting to see like it getting more and more and more and more cleared out. It's like you just don't realize how big the space is until things start to getting disconnected and moved and desks are cleared out.
Yeah, no, that happened when when I saw the pictures of my old office in New York, which got moved right after I left. That's how that looked there. No, you're definitely right. The thing I'm most interested in, with moving offices, because mine is the one down here. It's massive. I kind of want to get it a little smaller, but then I have a giant break room, so there's that.
I still haven't seen the new space that we're moving to. I'm actually
Ooh,
I know the building, but I actually haven't seen the layout of the space yet, whereas everyone else has. Um, I'm also like petitioning, hey, can you move me to the first office next to reception? This way, if our reception guy isn't there, I don't have as far of a walk to be able to let somebody in, namely like the UPS drivers.
yeah, no, that's always a good thing.
Or like, get me like one of the visual monitors so I can buzz somebody in. Because I know they've only got a couple of those available, but I'm actually going to try and see if they can actually get another one.
That'd be smart. I mean, especially if you got. How often is your reception guy who bought you that shirt in the office?
He's typically there every day, but he's actually been out the last couple of weeks
Jeez.
for reasons I will not disclose on air.
Well, no, of course not. That's not anybody's business but his.
Right.
And obviously, because you work with the guy.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I agree with you 100%. Oh, did you get your new shirt yet from AEW?
I didn't order it yet.
I'm toying with getting the orange spring training hat. Oh my god. Well, let's see what else we got here besides since John's not here, I'll tell you this. Damian Lillard went back to back in the 3-point contest.
Somebody actually, I can't think of who it was, but I saw a clip that like one of the guys there that said that the guys with the 4 highest verticals in the NBA should be mandatory to be in the dunk contest every year.
That's not a bad thing, although I see the champ is there to defend.
I don't even know who it is, and
Mac McClung.
who's still in the G League.
He's gonna lose. Jaylen Brown is in it. Yeah, he's gonna lose.
Does it really matter?
No.
There's no firepower in it anymore,
Well,
I mean, can somebody maybe sign Jordan Kilgannon to a roster just to be able to get him in this and at least make it?
dude, I'd like to see him and Mac McClung just go on the internet.
Jordan Kilgannon would basically reduce Mac McClung to shorter than he already is.
I don't know. Oh yeah, if he does the Mission Impossible dunk, yeah, I'll never forget when he did it at the All-Star game in Toronto.
Yeah, the Scorpion dunk. Yep.
This Mission Impossible, the Scorpion dunk.
Yeah,
because the look on DeMar DeRozan's face. And the reaction from the Eastern Conference bench.
I just remember when he did it was an all-star game about 6-7 years ago. He wasn't actually at the game, but it was like some sort of promotional thing outside where he was dunking over Gary Payton and Glenn Rice.
That was the year before, and that was at the Fan Fest. And he came out of the stands.
Yeah, he was a bounce kid.
Oh my God.
And then jumped over, and then what on that Dunk King shirt show, I should say, he jumped over a hard top.
Yep.
Not the hood, but the roof of a hard top.
With his brother standing with the ball coming out of the sunroof, and he went over the middle of the car and went behind his back. And the dunk he tried to do is when when you were a kid and you tried to throw something over your back with your hands twisted behind. That's the dunk he lost on because he tried to do that dunk.
Right, because it went in and then came back out.
Yep. That's crazy.
But while we're waiting on John here, because we're almost coming up on a halftime show at this particular point, we have to talk about the end all be all winner mic drop commercial. The Dunk Kings,
dude. I can't believe I'm starting to like Ben Affleck now.
I still hate J-Lo, but I've never had anything against him. I actually hate the fact that it made me like Tom Brady.
There's nothing that could do that, and I've watched it 2 or 3 times. No. Matt Damon is still one of my favorites.
Oh,
but Affleck, I mean, dude, when Bruce Willis let him live in Armageddon, I got up and fucking left. I'll never forget that. I was at Richmond Mall.
Moment
at Regal. So I'm at Richmond Mall, and I was with a girl, and we're watching this, and she's getting all teary-eyed. Oh, Benny's gonna die. I'm like, good. You're fucking annoying me.
That's why I like Titanic so much. It was a great movie, and DiCaprio died at the end.
Oh, I yelled at Billy Zane at that one.
Yeah, he was a prick, but I hated DiCaprio. The
only movie
I ever liked him in was The Quick and the Dead, which was a terrible movie.
He'll always be the kid who ruined Growing Pains to me.
Looking back in hindsight, knowing what we know now about him, Kirk Cameron ruined Growing Pains.
Marshawn Lynch. Anyway, yeah, that was hysterical. I mean, there's nothing else you can say about it. Do you see, was it Colbert or one of them bought one of the freaking tracksuits and gave it to Matt Damon? Off topic. Speaking of late night, are you going to start watching Comedy Central Monday nights now?
I doubt it, because he came off, from what I actually saw and read, it was a lot of both sides of him talking out of both sides of his mouth. The first one out.
Yeah, but it's Jon Stewart. He's talking out of both sides of his mouth. He's trying to be the journalist he's always been, yada, yada. Give him a couple of weeks. Give him, watch him start a tally like a telethon for how much Homeboy owes people.
Oh, I love the fact that they're already counting that up, and they're already talking about he doesn't have enough liquid assets anymore.
Nope. But moving on to other things, let's go back to the game real quick, and I want to ask you one more quick question about this. More angry at Brock Purdy for not delivering, or George Kittle for wanting to show somebody up and missing that fumble, a la Cam Newton?
George Kittle, because
I thought so.
I thought Purdy held up his end of the bargain for the most part. He just had to realize that he was going up against this generation's next Brady, or or if we can actually quote our new favorite YouTube channel, Daddy.
Oh my God.
Did you see the new one about all of the now that the game was over that now they need to channel Joe Burrow?
That there's somebody we need to let back in here. That kills me. That dude is hilarious. And did I send you Annie Agar's one post Super Bowl?
Yes.
Dude, she's hysterical too.
I didn't watch the season end meeting yet. It's queued up for me tomorrow, but again, it's Annie freaking Agar.
Agreed. And she's hysterical. So what do you say we do this? Let's hit halftime. Let's check in, see if he's coming on. If not, let's do the blast, and then we'll he's not going anywhere. We'll have him on again.
Yeah.
And then we'll hit the blast, and then we'll talk about. I heard from. Remember how we had talked about? I heard from Patrick the other night, by the way. So we're gonna have to get a Cavs episode in here soon.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially with where they're playing. So my last question from the game. Who takes the heat for this loss? Did Kyle Shanahan blow this game, or did Andy Reid's squad just go out and win it?
Kyle Shanahan blew this game.
Really? See, I'm on the other side. I think Andy Reid's squad just went out and won it.
I think it's 70-30 at this point. I think they both did that, but Kansas City woke up in the second half, but I was about ready to start calling him it was certainly not Kyle Shanahan. I was about ready to start calling him Kyle Allen.
Really?
Yeah. For the way that he kind of, chokes with the game on the line, trying to actually get, too cute or go out and, be the smartest guy in the room.
You can't talk about him.
Smartest guy in the room.
Yeah, but getting too cute though, Jim. Come on, the guy's first touchdown was on a trick play. By the way, I think it's a bad look they fired the DC.
Somebody had to take the fall.
Yeah, but how do you fire that guy?
Steve Wilkes was not all he was cracked up to be, trust me.
It's tough to replace Robert Saleh. I'll say that. As much as the Jets are a laughingstock, he's not an easy coach to replace.
I was going to say,
very
Robert
good.
Saleh is not an NFL head coach. He's a coordinator at best.
And speaking of coordinators, Steve Spagnuolo, 4 Super Bowls as the DC, and of course the most famous one being the NASCAR package and just obliterating Brady in that first one against New England, again winning a second one with the Giants, and now 2 as the DC in Kansas City. Oh, actually, I don't think about it. Was he the DC for both of those Giants wins, or was he just the first one? Then he's won the 3 with KC.
I want to say it was the first one.
Okay. They used the same formula to beat Brady a few years later. That's why I was asking the question. So Jim, we're at an hour. What do you say we take halftime, and then we just jump in? We'll check in with John, and we'll jump into the blast either way.
Okay.
Either we'll make the blast about his report card, or we'll do it on our own.
Yep.
All right. So give us a few minutes, ladies and gentlemen. We'll check back in with you when halftime's over.
It would actually help if I had the video loaded up. So
It probably would help if you had the video loaded up.
Man, what is up with me tonight? Jeez.
I think you should put something else in that besides Dr. Pepper. You play better on the beer.
Yeah, I almost should, but
yeah, I think I'm making coffee.
Although, yeah, I do need a refill.
So let's get refills and we'll reconvene in just a few minutes.
See you guys on the other side.
See you in a few. And we're back.
Mic drops and everything.
Well, this was more phone drop because I looked at it on there. And I didn't hear from him. So let's just hit the blast and let's hit the ground running in the second half of the Wise Guys here.
Tell me that was not the best thing you'll see all day, though.
Second best.
Top 5. It's on the podium.
Yes. And not the one where it's the cartoon where the guy's spraying the champagne at the bottom of the hill.
Like Al Bundy said when he won the Senior Olympics, it's only cheating if you get caught.
Hey, that's how Brady's got 7 rings. But he did get caught. Grizzly Adams did have a beard. Shut up. Jackass.
Yeah, jackass.
Same movie. We got to start counting those references from the different films. Because, hey, you saw we hit another milestone beginning of the month, right? On February 7th, Blazing Saddles was 50 years from its theatrical debut.
Wow.
And later this year, Young Frankenstein will be 50 years old.
I was almost going to put Blazing Saddles on Netflix the other day, but instead I opted for what I gave you as a homework assignment.
Which I didn't do my homework, but that's going all the way back to school, so my bad. I'll watch it depending on how I feel tonight with the coffee and the prime.
All I have to say is, again, glove compartment.
So bad.
She's so goddamn funny.
She is funny. And she's the perfect host for that show, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Easily.
So what we got on the blast tonight there, James? All right, let's start with the first one. And let me say this. I don't know what the guy from the Broncos who was the Veterans or Old Age Committee inductee was. How many more years do we have to go before Clay Matthews gets in?
Yeah.
It's getting borderline fucking. It's not even borderline. It's getting fucking stupid. Tony Grossi and Mary Kay ought to be ashamed of themselves. You're supposed to be these preeminent Browns people. Get his ass in the Hall of Fame, you sons of bitches.
The 7 inductees are longtime Indianapolis defensive lineman Dwight Freeney, longtime Denver Bronco Randy Gradishar, the NFL's greatest kick returner in history, Devin Hester.
A year late, by the way, for Hester. A year late for Hester.
Yes. Andre Johnson.
Yeah.
We'll skip the next one going alphabetically here. Carolina Panthers, great Julius Peppers, and San Francisco linebacker Patrick Willis. And the one that is kind of hitting a little bit closer to home right now, especially with another one of our brethren on this show, would be Chicago Bears legendary defensive tackle Steve Mongo McMichael.
Now, we'll leave Mongo for last as we just did, but I'd like to go through each one. You said the first one was Dwight Freeney. Overdue. Dwight Freeney was a game-changing defensive end who was phenomenal. I mean, you figure the speed rush wasn't really a big thing until Freeney and Robert Mathis on those great Colts teams with Peyton Manning really started doing it. You had,
according to the Pro Football Hall of Fame website, career stats: 125 and a half total sacks, credited with 47 forced fumbles, which is tied for third on the NFL's all-time list, and forced 3 fumbles in a game on 2 occasions.
That's pretty big.
Played 16 seasons, 218 games. Was a first-round pick in the 2002 NFL Draft, and was a member of the Colts Super Bowl a 41 championship team, and then played in 2 more Super Bowls.
Where did he go after Indy?
He went to San Diego for a year in 15, went to Arizona, then to Atlanta, then to Detroit, then then to Seattle, then to Detroit. So after his time in Indianapolis ended after a decade, he just basically signed 1-year contracts for about the next 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, I mean, he was phenomenal. Then we went to who was next? Gradisher. He's the one who got in on the veterans. Because I'm a baseball guy. On what would be called the Veterans Committee, and no disrespect, Clay Matthews should be in the fucking Hall of Fame instead of this guy.
I agree. Randy Gradishar is a 4-time finalist. It was his 35th year of eligibility. Played 10 seasons, all with the Denver Broncos. Played in 145 games. Was a first-round pick of the Broncos out of Ohio State in 1974. He led Denver in tackles for 9 consecutive seasons. He was one of the originators of the Orange Crush defense in the 1970s and early 80s. He was the 1978 Defensive Player of the Year. Played in the Super Bowl, which was Super Bowl 12, which the Broncos lost to the Dallas Cowboys. He was a 7-time Pro Bowler. Unofficially, more than 2,000 career tackles. One of 10 linebackers in league history with at least 7 Pro Bowls, 20 interceptions, 10 fumble recoveries.
I'm not trying to disrespect, especially a Buckeye. Not trying to and a Buckeye who played with Archie Griffin. Again, not trying to disrespect the guy, but it's getting to be beyond fucking stupid that Clay Matthews is not in the Hall of Fame yet.
I mean, Clay's going to get there, but yeah, how many more times is he going to get passed up?
And again, those 2 morons who think they're the greatest thing since sliced goddamn bread in the media in Cleveland need to get their asses to whatever thing they do in Canton for that thing, and they need to get him in.
The groundswell happens every year, but it's I'm tired of people making the excuses because he never played in a Super Bowl, His numbers are better than most of the ones in there.
What a fucking joke. What an absolute fucking joke.
Next, we move on to Devin Hester, 3-time finalist. He was in his 3rd year of eligibility. Played 7 seasons for the Bears, played 2 seasons for Atlanta, 2016 with Baltimore, and he split time between Baltimore and Seattle. Played 11 seasons, 156 games, was a 2nd-round pick out of Miami by the Bears. He returned. He's only one of 4 players to have a kick six score in an NFL regular season game. We all remember he opened Super Bowl 41 with that kickoff return for a touchdown, which unfortunately was the only points that Chicago really put on the board that day. And it's the only time in the Super Bowl history that that's occurred. Was an All-Pro 3 times. He also was the NFL's all-time kick return leader, and he's only one of 2 specialists on the NFL's NFL 100 all-time team.
Interesting fact about Devin Hester's return in that game. That is the only time in history that the college football national championship game and the Super Bowl started the same way. Because that was the year Teddy Ginn took the kickback against Florida. Again, the only points a team scored in the damn game.
Yeah.
Again, Devin Hester, when you are the best at your position, no matter what that position is on any field, whether it's a baseball diamond, a football gridiron, the hardwood, or on the ice, if you're the best at the position in the history of the game, you need to be in the Hall of Fame. And it shouldn't be because, oh, well, he was just a returner. Last time I checked, you return a kick, you get 6 points.
Yep. That's why Steve Tasker's also in the Hall of Fame.
No, Steve Tasker's was special teams animal.
Yeah. He wasn't a return guy. He was the guy running down to actually, to make the tackles, but he was so damn good that he deserved to be in the Hall of Fame.
He was the best gunner in the history of the game.
Yep.
Is what he was. We skip Mongo. Who was next?
Andre Johnson, 3-time finalist, third year of eligibility. Played for 11 seasons with the Houston Texans, and then finished up with Indianapolis in 2015 and the Tennessee Titans in 2016. Played 14 seasons, 193 games. Third overall pick out of the University of Miami. He surpassed 1,000 yards 7 times in his career, led the NFL in receptions twice. And receiving yards twice. Only one of 3 players to lead in the NFL in receiving yards in consecutive seasons in the Super Bowl era. Selected to 7 Pro Bowls and was the first player ever elected to the Houston Texans Ring of Honor.
I have a different memory of Andre Johnson.
Was that him and Cortland Finnegan brawling?
No. That was him being the intended receiver on Ken Dorsey's final pass in the 2003 Fiesta Bowl.
The last time I was a Buckeye fan.
Well, that's why I was going to bring it up. Do you realize the amount of NFL talent that was on that Miami team?
Do you realize the amount of NFL talent that ended up coming out of that game?
Oh, good. It's insanity. But listen, Andre Johnson, again, big wide receiver, 3rd overall pick, played really well for Houston with really no quarterback. I mean, the best quarterback he probably played with was Matt Schaub, because he wasn't there for Billy. He was there for David Carr, and he was there for Matt Schaub. You put up those numbers and your best quarterback's Matt Schaub, you belong in Canton. And if we're skipping Mongo, the next one's Julius Peppers, right?
Correct. It was in his first year of eligibility. Julius Peppers played 17 seasons in the NFL, 266 games, was the 2nd overall pick in 2002 out of the University of North Carolina. Played 7 years with the Panthers. Actually, if you want to, it played 11 years over 2 different stints. Went to Chicago for 4 years, 3 years in Green Bay. 4th on the NFL's all-time sack list with 159.5. He's the only player in NFL history with at least 100 sacks and 10 or more interceptions. He is 2nd all-time with 52 career forced fumbles. At the time he retired, he was ranked 6th amongst games played for defensive on defense. He is the Panthers' career sack leader. He also blocked 8 kicks. He's only one of 4 players to record 10 seasons with 10-plus sacks. And he was also, he totaled 719 tackles and 175 for them for loss. He was a 3-time first-team All-Pro, and he was also on the second team 3 more times and made 9 Pro Bowls. Shoo-in.
Yeah, absolutely. He was amazing. Again, another one of those speed rushers who he had the strength to pull him over. He was on the defense of that Carolina team that lost to New England during the Spygate Super Bowls, right?
Correct.
With Jake Delhomme and Steve Smith Sr. Phenomenal team. Did he go to another Super Bowl, or was that the only one he went to?
I think that was the only one, because when Carolina went back and lost to Denver, Peyton Manning's last one, I don't think that was his second stint, or was it?
Wait, did he get a ring with Green Bay?
I don't see it here. Not from what I'm seeing.
Okay. Hey, guess what I got on in the background? Banana ball.
Oh.
I saw that.
It's just so good to actually have Banana Ball back.
Agreed. They're out in Arizona.
Next, we have Patrick Willis in his 5th year of eligibility, twice as a finalist. Played 8 seasons, all with the San Francisco 49ers, played 112 games. He was the 11th overall pick out of Mississippi in 2007. He was the 2007 AP Defensive Rookie of the Year. He was first team All-Pro 5 times in 8 seasons. He was selected to the Pro Bowl 7 consecutive times. He won the NFL's version of the Butkus Award in his second year. He has 20 and a half sacks, 60 tackles for loss, 8 interceptions, and 16 forced fumbles in his career. And he played in Super Bowl 47, where the 49ers lost to the Baltimore Ravens.
I don't think 8 seasons is enough. And that's any sport. He did it at a high level. I'll give you that. His numbers are phenomenal. He only did it for 8 years. Was he injury ended or was he?
I believe it was cut short by injury.
Okay, injury ended is a different animal. So I'll give him that. But I just don't think 8 seasons is enough to have a Hall of Fame career. Unless you're doing crazy, crazy numbers.
Yep.
I mean, I'd put 8 years of his career against any other linebacker. That I would put his 8 years against Clay Matthews' best 8 years, and Clay Matthews blows him out of the water. So let's talk about Mongo.
Steve Mongo McMichael, his first year as a finalist after 29 years of eligibility. Mongo was a 3rd-round pick for the New England Patriots, ironically enough, out of the University of Texas back in 1980. He was released by the Patriots after that first season and then signed with the Chicago Bears, where he played 12 seasons and then finished up his final year in 1994 with the Green Bay Packers. Played 15 seasons, 213 games, started a Chicago still franchise record of 191 consecutive games over those 13 years. He finished his career with the most tackles and sacks in the history of the Chicago Bear franchise. He was a member of that Super Bowl 20 championship team with Richard Dent and Refrigerator Perry. Played in 14 career playoff games. He did actually record a sack in that game, forced 13 fumbles, recovered 17, and had 3 safeties in his 15 seasons, and was a first-team All-Pro 3 times, and also 2 Pro Bowl nods, was a former WCW United States and World Tag Team Champion.
Any member of the NWO?
He
was a horse. I thought he was in the NWO.
No, he was a member of the Horsemen. Remember, he was a member of the 4 Horsemen team that went up against the NWO, where Ric Flair got his head slammed in the cage.
That's right. Well, as Stilts is batting on the screen right now. Look, Mongo's whole thing right now, and that Bears defense was the greatest defense of all time.
Yes.
No disrespect to the 2000 Baltimore Ravens.
It is still the benchmark of all great defenses. Unless the Browns would have finished the job, and then they would have supplanted the Bears this year.
Buddy Ryan did such a good job with that defense that they carried him off the field after winning that Super Bowl against Tony Eason and the New England Patriots, because Dan Marino dropped a load in his drawers a week before. Because they were the only team that beat them that year, by the way.
And what's funny is I can actually name 5 members off of that roster.
So can I.
Roster.
The New England roster?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can.
Backup quarterback was Steve Grogan. Irving Fryer was the lead wide receiver. Andre Tippett was the linebacker.
I thought Irving Fryer was on the Jets in '85.
No, no, he was on the Patriots.
Okay.
because that was the number one target.
No, you're right. Okay, I'm sorry.
Andre
listen.
Tippett was a bad man.
All I knew was that Tony Eason. But Mongo is not well, which is the heartbreaking part of this. And Steve Mongo McMichael is not well at all. He is in hospital now. There was talk of a blood transfusion.
Yes, for those who don't know, Steve McMichael suffers from ALS. Was also admitted to a hospital earlier this week with what they thought was pneumonia. Found out it was a urinary tract infection, which then turned into a staph infection now, and that's why he's getting a transfusion, because the staph infection does not respond to certain antibiotics.
Oh my God.
At 66 years old, our time with Mongo was very limited.
I know he said when he was elected, he got the knock that he wanted to make it to Canton. I don't know.
He did not. He really did not want any of his. Once he got diagnosed and he started going downhill physically, they did not really want to publicize him. He doesn't.
No.
He doesn't make public appearances. However, a lot of his former teammates and wrestling compatriots go to his home and basically make him make private appearances that go public, which is very, very well done. Mongo also was, it hasn't been easy for him even before the ALS diagnosis, because remember, Mongo McMichael and Chris Benoit were very good friends, as also were him and Kevin Green, who he got into WCW, and then Kevin Green passed away.
Yeah, no, it's been rough for Mongo. What was the other thing I was going to say?
Remember who his first wife was?
Yep. Is she still with Jerry Lawler?
I don't think she ever was. I know that she after she left, her and Mongo split, she married Steve Austin for several years.
That's right.
And then then that went south.
Gotcha. I mean, it's tough to see any of this for anybody, but especially a guy. Not only that, he was very charismatic. Being a member of that '85 Bears defense, you had to be charismatic. I mean, Super Bowl shuffle.
Right.
When
the greatest player on that team was also the quietest player on that team in Walter Payton.
Still a crime that they didn't get him a touchdown in that Super Bowl.
Agreed, but if we ever got a Browns Super Bowl, would we care if Nicholas Jamal Chubb did not get a touchdown and they won the game?
All right. No disrespect to Nicholas Jamal Chubb, who is the modern day Batman of the NFL. He's not Walter Payton.
Do you really think that Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and company care that Mr. Taylor Swift did not score on Sunday?
Again, I will say this. He's not Walter Payton, and it wasn't his only shot. Kelsey scored 2 touchdowns in the Super Bowl. This would not be Kelsey's only shot. That's my point in all this. This was Peyton's only shot. He retired, the year after?
Yes.
So his only shot was this. And they got the fridge a touchdown, but not Walter Payton? Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, but they were up so big at that point.
Who gives a shit? Walter should have taken that handoff and gone in. Oh, hey, did you see, speaking of Walter Payton, as we wrap up the Hall of Fame class, did you see that Cameron Hayward won the Walter Payton Man of the Year?
Yes.
It's a year late. I mean, the year before he was hunting down predators.
Very, very deserving to win this, though.
Absolutely. All joking aside, obviously, you know who I took a shot at. Did you see his reaction when Prince Harry was the one that gave him the award?
No.
He's standing there. He's going, "That's Prince Harry." But yeah, no, much respect to Cameron Hayward for winning what even the players call the most coveted award in the NFL. So from one Hall of Fame class to one Hall of Fame asshole, we got to wait till 2029 to get rid of this son of a bitch. As Rob Manfred.
I love that there was a story that followed up that actually says he's got 5 years to change his legacy. But commence.
Oh, he gonna fuck it up worse. Rob Manfred will retire as commissioner of baseball sometime in 2029. I believe he was an in-season election. So it's going to be in season that he retires. Good riddance to bad rubbish. Go now, please. You son of a bitch.
And to think, when he took over, we were actually praising it because Bud Selig was out of there. Now we have to wait 5 more years to get a guy out who was worse.
And he was worse. He wasn't worse with me with the rule changes. He wasn't worse with me with expanding the playoffs again. It was the bad faith they negotiated with for the COVID season. Because he came out and said we were never going above 60 games. What? Why did you not say that at the beginning? You scumbag. And then, the pitch clock turned out to be a good thing last year. I agree.
The ghost runner on second. Yeah, all the rule changes are fine.
The ghost runner, I don't know. I'm still on the fence about that.
It does speed the game up, though.
You know what, though, Jim? I am sick and tired of people talking about the speed of a game when we just watched a game last weekend that took 4.5 hours to play. It's got a 1 hour fucking time clock.
Yeah, but it was also, you had a 45-minute halftime and all the pageantry and all this. And it also, you think about it, it was 45 seconds short of going to double overtime. They could have still been playing that game for all we know.
No, I understand that. But let's talk about a normal Sunday when it's 1 and 4:30 are the fucking games.
Yeah.
It's got a 1 hour fucking time clock.
But it was also the most watched event in the history of television.
Agreed.
Because of the Swifties. Not going to argue.
No, you can't. But my point still stands. A regular Sunday NFL game takes 3 hours to play with a 1 hour fucking time clock. Don't come to me if baseball games take too long. But I'm a baseball guy, so that's a different animal. But yeah, the bad faith negotiation, the lockout in 2022. You son of a bitch.
The piss poor handling of the Astros scandal too. That's where we first really started to see what this guy was capable of.
Yeah, he is a world-class fuck up. And I can't wait to hear what Alex has to say about this. So we'll have him on soon. I will actually do a couple of minutes on this next Friday. On the Big Rican episode.
And I thought Gary Bettman was bad for all the way that, for all the lockouts and the fact that he was the commissioner, responsible for losing a whole season for a labor dispute, the failed experiment in the desert with the Phoenix Coyotes. But no, Manfred's got it worse because, I still also think it's the fact that he represents the owners and they still don't have a salary cap in that sport. I get the revenue sharing, but that's part of it. He's had opportunities to be able to get something along the lines that would resemble something to maybe kind of level the balance.
You've got to remember something. The most powerful labor union on the planet is the Major League Baseball Players Association. That's why they're the only ones that have fully guaranteed contracts that make every other league look like fucking monopoly money. You're not going to get a salary cap in baseball. Doesn't matter who they are, because they'll sit. They'll sit. Because the baseball players who are making the insane amount of money will distribute their funds that they have in the kitty to the guys who don't have it. Having said that, Rob Manfred's biggest issue is, yes, his handling of the Astro scandal in 2017 was absolutely fucking deplorable. There should have been suspensions of players. By and large, it costs Alex Cora a year of his managerial career. It cost AJ Hinch his job, and it cost Carlos Beltran the Mets job, as he was going to be implanted as the manager instead of Luis Rojas going into 2020.
Very quick breaking news: Steph Curry beat Ionescu by 3 in the All-Star shootout.
There goes my fucking weekend. But yeah, good riddance to bad fucking rubbish. Get out. Get out now. The question is, who's next?
Yeah.
And what are they going to do to fuck up the game? Because the last two commissioners have fucked up. You had the best World Series in years post 9/11, and the first thing you say as commissioner after that World Series is, oh yeah, we're going to contract 2 teams. The fuck? And then you have a tie in the All-Star game. Bud, you're killing me. And then this bastard. Sorry about the profanity-laced tirade, but this son of a bitch pisses me to fuck off.
Yeah.
And by the way, Gary Bettman, for all of his shortcomings as NHL commissioner, has done some things that will be very good for the game moving forward. Failed experiment in the desert notwithstanding, he lost a year to labor. Yes, agreed, 100%. But he's not the only party in that. Yes, he represents the owners, as does every commissioner, including Roger Goodell, Bettman,
Adam Silver. Yeah.
Numbnuts, and Adam Silver. But they're not the only party to it. And you can't make a horse, you can bring a horse to water, you can't make it drink. We don't know what it was like in those rooms, especially in the year they lost. Was that lockout or strike that year?
04?
Yeah.
Strike.
So then that's the players walking away from the table.
It was lockout.
Was it lockout? Okay, so that's the owners walking away from the table.
Yeah.
It's a bad look, but I believe
And
that
also,
the end.
and also remember, not only was it the whole season, but it was also half of the following season too.
Yep. Well, it's like 94 into 95 with baseball. But he has handled the problems outside of the Blackhawks. He has handled the problems pretty well. I will give him that. He just needs to get them the fuck out of Arizona. So good riddance to bad rubbish. The NHL Stadium Series, that was this weekend, right?
Yeah, we got one going on right now. We actually have the Devils and the Flyers at MetLife. In Philly right now, ongoing. And my buddy John is actually at that game. There's under 9 minutes to go, and it's Devils 5-3 right now. Man, after the Winter Classic, the NHL kind of likes to do these outdoor games. These 2 jerseys are stunning right now. I mean, the
I
Devils
saw those.
is just gorgeous. The Flyers, a little bit of a tweak. I like it. But the way that they have this set up is fantastic. And then the way that these 2 teams came into the stadium, the Flyers went Rocky and the Devils went Sopranos.
That's impressive. But I heard there was an announcement about the Stadium Series.
But there's another game tomorrow that both is you and me.
Islanders Rangers.
Islanders
From
Rangers
MetLife.
MetLife Stadium. And
Which
those 2 jerseys are some of the worst ideas I have ever seen.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk about that because the Mets get a City Connect this year, and I'm really not excited about it.
That's a new segment that we're going to be debuting when the time is right. We're going to call it the thread count, and it's just going to be when uniforms get debuted, and we're not going to actually like break down like all the different City Connect jerseys that the NBA rolls out every 5 seconds. We'll look at these for these City Connect jerseys are going to be absolutely awful. How awful are they? um Clevelanders are already dreading what they're going to look like. You as a Mets fan is already dreading that, and the Dodgers didn't like theirs so much that they actually went back and did another one.
Yeah. I'm worried.
But yes, we do have a Stadium Series game announced for next year. It will be in Ohio Stadium. The Columbus Blue Jackets will be hosting the Detroit Red Wings,
Oh, the team up north.
which will be, if it's anything like the last 3 years of that game, will be another team from the state of Michigan coming down
Beating the
to
piss.
Ohio and pasting them, because the Red Wings have rebounded. And the Blue Jackets right now are the third worst team in hockey, who just fired their general manager because they are dead last in the Eastern Conference.
I saw that. You calling for it to be done far before then.
Jarmo Kekalainen was
Bless
basically
you.
dead man walking for the last 3 years, for the fact that they couldn't get anybody to compete. He hired a coach in Mike Babcock that didn't even coach a single game for you before scandal came out. You had to fire him. And also, you bring in Johnny Gaudreau. You still have Patrick Laine, and you still fucked up the Patrick Laine situation. And I get Laine had to walk away, but you've had two of the top 15 players at the time in the NHL on your roster and still could not finish any better than seventh in your division out of 8 teams.
That's terrible. Didn't they have a good year a few years ago?
1 year, the only time that they made the playoffs, or I should say won a playoff series in Jarmo Kekalainen's tenure of more than a decade, was that first round sweep over Tampa Bay in 2019. How do I remember that? Because guess who won the cup that year?
That's right. St. Louis. A little update on the Bananas. They're winning 2-1 over the Party Animals. And the Party Animals are actually watching the UFC fights in the dugout.
Yeah, because it's Alexander Volkanovski actually has his toughest test as champion tonight, going up against a guy who's never lost.
Yeah, that'll do that. I'm excited to see what they do with the Stadium Series jerseys. I'll be honest with you. If the NHL's got a brain in their fucking skull, they're going to go scarlet and gray against maize and blue.
They won't do that. What they'll do is, when these teams come out with their jerseys, it's usually either some sort of throwback, or it's something they could do something inspired like that, but they will not change the colors, because you still have to represent the colors of your team. They can't change the color scheme just for this.
Well, all right. So the Red Wings would be the away team in that game. Could you do a white helmet with a block M, and maybe, because the Blue Jackets do have red in their logo and it is scarlet red, could you do something like that?
I could possibly that's where this is going to be a very slippery slope for them, because the Red Wings are primarily they will be the road team. They will be wearing red, because it's the only color in their scheme right now, just red and white. But Columbus, I could actually see possibly doing maybe a red jersey with blue and gray trim on it, but I don't know how aesthetically that would work, that would translate at that point, because you also got to think about the TV markets, and then you got to think about how the socks and what pants and the helmets and everything. And also keep in mind that starting next year, Fanatics takes over as the NHL's jersey sponsor away from Adidas. So we don't know what their new designs are going to look like.
If I may, how often are these jerseys ever aesthetically pleasing?
There's a few times that some of these Stadium Series jerseys have been. I will actually, I will turn the blur off, and I will tell you that the current third jersey, this originated out of a Stadium Series jersey that they actually turned into their primary third. And I don't
Okay.
have a problem with this one.
No, neither do I, but I like the colors.
Yeah. That's one of the few times that they've actually got those rights, because I do know that when they originally launched that jersey, that there was kind of a chrome tint for the outline of the NY logo. They went away from the chrome on that and just made it into the current. They're rolling out there tomorrow are going to be absolutely atrocious.
Yeah, they're pretty god awful. So, Jim, you got your wish though. You had mentioned previously on the show that you wanted to see a Stadium Series game in Columbus between Columbus and Detroit. When we had teased that they were going to do it up in Cleveland. But yeah, that's a big game. Think they'll fill it?
I don't know. I really don't, because I know the Red Wings are going to travel well. It's a good idea on paper, but Columbus just sucks.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to fill
You're
it.
gonna have a bunch of Buckeye fans showing up there, but really, if they draw 40,000 at that game, maybe 50, they'll be lucky.
Would you go if the tickets were cheap enough?
No, because I hate them
Okay.
both. I can't stand them. I can't. Remember when the Wings and the Blues used to be in the same divisions, before they flopped over to the East a decade ago. I hated the Wings growing up. As I got older, I started to realize that, yeah, you hate the Wings, but now you're apathetic because you hate the Blackhawks even that much more, being a Blues fan. I've never liked the Columbus Blue Jackets since the minute they debuted.
Okay, that's fair. So let's get to the final topic in the blast tonight, and that is college hoops history and chaos. And let's start with history, and let's start with the new record holder for most career points in women's college basketball, Miss Caitlin Clark, out of the University of Iowa. And let me just put it plain like this. She said after the game, this bitch said she was pulling up from the logo to break the record the entire fucking time. I mean, honestly, the audacity, who the fuck do you think you are?
Oh, the greatest of all time.
Amen.
The only thing that's missing is national championship hardware, because she's got everything else. She's going to win her second consecutive Naismith Player of the Year. She's going to be only the third or fourth player to do that.
That's fucking unreal.
Yeah, she's got All-American status. She's going to be a number one pick in the WNBA draft. And oh yeah, by the way, she's going to be playing along when she gets drafted by Indiana. She's going to be playing alongside last year's number one overall pick.
Yeah, they're going to just build something in Indiana to kind of get them off the mat, because they're not a very good team in that WNBA.
Right.
With Las Vegas, with Kelsey Plum, the former record holder in Las Vegas, winning back-to-back championships the last 2 years. But I want to talk about what she's got on the board and what's coming, and that is breaking Pistol Pete's all-time record for most points in the history of college basketball. Not women, all around.
Say what you will about Maravich's record only being 3 years. It was a statement of the game that freshmen were not allowed to play varsity back then, and you deal the hand, you play the hand that you're dealt. So yes, if Maravich would have been able to play, his freshman year, we're looking at 4,000 points at that point easily, and it's a record that nobody ever gets to touch. But now remember that Maravich almost actually had his record broken and was missed out by 3 points last year from the kid from Detroit, Mercy. But Caitlin Clark's going to break that record before the Big Ten tournament starts the end of next week.
Yeah, no, that's next, especially if you're dropping a 50 bomb on friggin' Michigan
Yeah.
a couple nights ago. And if you think about it, going back to the day when the freshmen didn't play varsity, think about it this way: Kareem would have 4 NCAA championships if he'd have been able to play. Bill Walton would have 4 NCAA championships if he was able to play. So yeah, it was a different era, and which always blew my mind as to why they would do that. But this wasn't a one and done era. This wasn't a you go to the NBA. The college players were more popular than the NBA players back in the day.
Exactly. It's and you and I talked about it off the record on the phone earlier this week. That was the responsibility of one man and one man only.
Mm-hmm.
John Wooden.
Yep. And is what it is. Like you said, play the hand you're dealt. And the hand that's being dealt is that Caitlin Clark is going to break the record for most points in the history of college basketball inside of the next 2 weeks. Even if she doesn't get it done by the Big Ten tournament, still counts. So at worst, by the Big Ten tournament, which they are going to run away and hide, although I don't think they're going to run away and hide, that Ohio State women's team is damn good.
They are very, very good. Indiana has a very good team, and Nebraska has a very good team. They're going to get one of the first 4 buys. They're going to get one of the first 4 seeds, and that's an automatic bye to the quarterfinal for them, because with the way that the Big Ten seeds, there's an opening game, and then there's a entire play-in round before you actually get to the top 4 in the quarters. So
yeah,
so Iowa's at least going to be looking at a semifinal berth, if not, possibly, getting off their own little schneid and be able to play themselves back into the top line.
Yeah, and what we're also going to be talking about too is there are going to be 2 Big Ten teams with number 1 seeds in the women's tournament.
If not 2 on number 1, you're going to have a 1, and then you're going to have the second one on the 2 line.
Yeah, and Ohio State's already beaten Iowa this year. They did that in Columbus, the very famous game where she got run over by a fan. So this is going to be this women's tournament's going to be something this year.
Yeah, because also keep in mind is that's the importance of being able to try and outlast the other. Even if somehow, some way, Ohio State and Iowa do not win the Big Ten women's tournament, they at least want to be able to advance further than the other, because if you can get on that one line, you would actually host the opening weekend of games with the way that the women's tournament is set up. There's no neutral sites until you start getting into the Sweet 16.
Yeah, they'll be at the Shot in Columbus. Although no, I think the tournament they'll play at Value City.
Yeah, they would play there, but there's a huge difference between actually having to play at Value City or play at Carver Hawkeye.
That's true. So congratulations and hats off to Caitlin Clark. And a dominant performance in that game, just putting it on the Lady Wolverines. But let's talk a little chaos. What the fuck?
Yeah, we saw something that we've never seen before earlier today, and that was number 1 UConn putting a 29-point win over 4th-ranked Marquette, which was an NCAA record for 2 teams in the top, for margin of victory between 2 teams in the top 5 in the same conference in NCAA history.
That's crazy.
UConn is looking every bit the team that won last year. And remember, last year UConn won as a 7. Nobody is taking UConn lightly right now.
I thought LSU won last year.
Women's.
Oh, this was the men's.
This was the men's.
Apologies. Sorry.
Speaking of the women, Paige Buchers announced that with her extra year of eligibility, she is going to come back for her senior season next year.
How close is she to Caitlin?
I don't think anywhere close right now because of her injury history. But she's actually got the potential to be the number 1 pick next year if she comes back.
Imagine
a
if
healthy.
Indiana's crap this year with Caitlin Clark and the other girl,
Yeah, because then you could actually move Paige Buchers possibly to small forward.
or move Caitlin Clark to the point.
Very true, but that's a whole 18 months away. And that's going to be fun to watch. But
That'd be scary.
yeah,
I think Vegas would start to worry at
and
that
then we
point in time.
also had Fairleigh Dickinson, last year's NCAA tournament darlings, getting locked in an elevator
Saw
to
that.
where the game had to be delayed to get them out.
That was crazy. That was insanity. Do you know which one got me in college basketball this week? Let's talk about what's going on in Columbus real quick and Chris Holtman finally getting the fucking axe. God, he was terrible.
Yeah. One of the worst seasons last year in Ohio State program history, and it's being followed up with one that might be just as bad, if not worse, this year.
Yeah, they're going to get smoked tomorrow. They're 14-11.
How?
Meanwhile, the women's, because they played shit in the friggin' preseason,
Exactly.
and then meanwhile, the women's team on the same campus is beating the piss out of everybody, and it's going to
Although,
be a one
although
seed in the tournament.
I don't care if I don't care if you're Caitlin Clark or whoever. I don't know if anyone's going to be. It's going to stop South Carolina from repeating this year.
Dawn Staley is a friggin' beast. I've loved her since the WNBA debuted. Um, dude, this is 30 years since the WNBA debuted.
Yep.
The Cleveland Rockers. I remember working at Dick's Sporting Goods in college, and that was when the Crunch, won a championship, and the Rockers were in the WNBA Eastern Conference Finals against the New York Liberty. And so one of the cashier dudes, he goes, "I can't believe this, man. We've been waiting all this time for championships. We're going to have it in indoor soccer and WNBA." I was like, "Whoa, you're hating. It's a championship."
Yep. And then we were actually like latching on to the Cleveland Gladiators of the Arena Football League for a while, you know?
Yup. Hey, how are the Monsters playing?
Don't care. It's Columbus's minor league team. Why would I?
Well, I figured it's right there.
I've been to 2 Monsters games, and both times it's because I went to see who they were playing against.
Against?
You get me talking hockey, it's coming out, man.
Yeah, I know.
But on a sad note, legendary head basketball coach
Yeah,
Monty Drizel also passed away yesterday at the age of 92.
a Maryland icon. How long was he at that school? Had to have been
Lo-
30 some years.
Longer than you and I have been. Wouldn't care to notice.
Basically.
And then we also had the first round of seeding come out in their version of the CFP rankings.
If I may, a little interruption. Mac McClung went back to back in the slam dunk contest. This time he jumped over Shaq.
What does it matter?
He's white.
The men's tournament right now, they actually have UConn, Purdue on the one line. I'm still going through the article here. They've got North Carolina, Tennessee, Marquette, and Kansas were the 2 seeds. I think Marquette's going to fall out of that after that blowout today.
Yeah, but I don't think they will because UConn has just been a juggernaut all year.
Alabama, Baylor, Iowa State, and Duke are on the 3 line. And then to round out, Auburn, San Diego State, Illinois, and Wisconsin are on the 4 line. They said that Dayton, Creighton, and Clemson were the first 3 out of those top 4, but they're definitely in the field. So it's UConn,
State.
Purdue, Arizona, and Houston. There we go. Those are the top 4 in the men's poll right now.
Did I hear 5 Big Ten teams in that first 16?
Yes.
Okay.
And then where is in the women's tournament? It's actually saying Stanford, Ohio State, Colorado, and South Carolina are on the 1 line. The 2 line would be Iowa, North Carolina State, UCLA, and Texas. The 3 line is USC, Va-Tech, Oregon State, and UConn. And then the 4 line would round out with Kansas State, defending champion LSU, Indiana, and Louisville.
I like hearing Lady Buckeyes at the top. They are playing so good, Jim. I know you're a hater, but they are playing so good.
But look at how razor thin that is with Ohio State being on the 1 line right now, Iowa on the 2 line, and then Indiana sitting on the 3 line.
Yeah, the top of the Big Ten is insane. And honestly, the top of the Big Ten in both men's and women's is insane.
Yes.
Because you didn't hear Michigan State on there, and you didn't hear Michigan on there in the men's. And Rutgers, which is normally a basketball power on the women's side, you didn't hear them on the women's side.
Right.
So this is going to be an interesting season, interesting tournament on both sides. But hey, Jim, I think it's time for band practice.
Would you shut up and just push the button already?
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
It's the YZ Translator on the Wise Guys Sports Show.
I'm forever unclean.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is the YZ Translator. The moment that Jim and I get to the best segment of the evening. And a lot of people say because it's the last segment of the evening. As always, a reminder, the YZ Translator, Jim and I give each other names in or outside of the sports world, and we come up with the first thing that pops into our head. Again, the all-time favorites. Alex asking if Tony La Russa had a pulse. Jim calling Kyrie Irving a douche canoe in a sing-song voice. And, of course, there is the comments about certain members of the world that Patrick got us not only a phenomenal translator segment, but also the best off the rails from 2023. So as per usual, recently, Jim will unveil the YG Translator script and also the underneath and the comment to go with the YG Translator border. So Jim, if you would. Are you fucking serious right now? By the way, he's doing that because spring training camps have opened all over baseball. Or did you just do that to be an ass? Say
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
All right. Well, Jim, I will start us off as always. And I'm going to go a little off the cuff here.
Gee,
and
you
Jim,
don't say.
And Jim, your first name in the YZ Translator is Mel Kiper Jr.
Second best analyst on their own network, and I would still say even at their advanced age, still doesn't wear as much. Oh, actually wears about 10% more shit in his hair than Bret Hart ever did.
How did we cross Mel Kiper and Bret Hart in the same conversation? What do you got for me there, bud?
Michael, your first name in the YZ translator this evening, there was a report coming out that before he is honored by the franchise tomorrow, he skated with the team earlier today.
I saw that.
Your name is Jaromir Jagr.
Stop trying to be Bartolo Colon and go the fuck away.
I wouldn't even go Bartolo Colon because he still came up a few years short of Julio Franco, who might
Yeah, but
still be playing ball somewhere.
Julio Franco is on Jake Taylor's fucking Mexican League team right now.
Playing with Tolbert.
Yeah. Is that you, Tolbert? Anyways.
Or he's selling guys white walls.
Let me think about it. I'll call you back. James, your second and final name in this evening's YZ Translator is Kyle Shanahan.
There's a reason why you're 0-3 at this particular point. I mean, dude, you would think with that gigantic Denny's menu somewhere you would actually have written down to the rules of overtime.
Wow. By the way, he was only the OC in Atlanta. He's not 0-3. That's on the head coach. The guy the Washington hired.
I thought, didn't he lose another?
No. He lost the one with Jimmy G, and he lost last week.
Okay. Jimmy G getting suspended for 2 weeks or earlier today.
That's for the boner pills for his next career. Do it. What do you got? What do you got for me to end tonight, Jim?
Michael, man, I think we're setting some sort of land speed record for fastest YZ translator ever, because if you saw last week's when I cut it with everything it was almost 10 minutes long.
Oh, it was longer than that.
The segment was over a half hour, but the supercut was over 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's true.
We had like 9 people in there. Michael, your second and final name in the YZ translator this evening, Steph Curry.
God, I can't wait to see him get the fuck beat out of him when Draymond gets arrested.
You gotta respect him. You gotta respect him off the court, on the court. Yeah,
No, I respect the hell out of him. And let me put it this way: the players I have hated the most in my life, I respect the shit out of them. Jeter. Okay, maybe one I don't respect the shit out because Brady's a fuck. But Jeter, Chipper Jones.
That's it. You watch your mouth. That's a done king. You put some respect on his name. He's loyalty. Although with coming on this show, you know how I said I'd do anything for you. This is anything.
Yeah, have more rings without suspensions and fines, and come talk to me. No, in all seriousness, but Chipper Jones, who I could not stomach. The Mannings, who I hated as players and I adore as Manning cast guys. I respect the hell out of all of them. And I respect Steph Curry, but he is a little bitch.
Did you see the thing where he threw one from his tunnel?
He does that every game.
Yeah, but the length of the court, this wasn't his own. This wasn't the basket closest to him. This was full length and up the tunnel. This had to be about a good 140 feet.
No, I didn't see it, but I will go watch it.
I'll send you the clip the second we get
offline. He hit it too,
didn't he? Like a 20-second clip.
He hit it too, didn't he?
Yes.
That's it. He is the best shooter in the history of the game. I will give him his flowers there. But the first title you won where somebody wasn't injured, you had to pull in Kevin Durant. So, yeah, there's that. So, James, should we tell everybody the good news about next week?
Hang on. I'm gonna play the. I'm gonna post the clip here.
All right. Get the fuck out of here.
They'll show this again.
Did he call Glass? That's the question.
I don't think there was glass.
I thought he called Glass.
This is actually insane. It's not a full court shot either.
Go to the beginning.
This is actually insane. It's not a full court shot either. It's like 10 feet beyond full court from the opposite tunnel. Whoever the social media manager is for the Warriors, though, is getting fired. They should have clicked record about 5 seconds earlier, and you would have had the perfect view of this full court shot. But you actually only catch the end of it. But I feel like it's either going to go one of two ways tonight for Steph now after this full court shot. He's either going to go for like 0 for 13 from 3, or he's going to go 10 for 13 from 3.
And the fade on that.
That was insanity.
I mean, that was. I don't want to say Tiger-esque because Tiger usually plays a draw, but it's like just the perfect angle with the hook on that.
Phil Mickelson plays a power fade. So does John Daly.
Yeah, if I say something about Phil Mickelson, I will get fined.
So we'll leave it there. So next week is momentous and easier on the sleep people, because there's a typo in your edit there, sir.
Please stand by.
Yes, that's right. 8 p.m. Steph and Bobby will be going to my in-laws' house in Palm Coast next weekend. I have to stay because it's the last weekend of the month, so I have to work. So we will bring you the Wise Guys at 8 p.m. next Saturday night, the 24th of February, possibly with John. We'll talk to him during the week, see what he's got going on. And if not, it will be your normal two idiots discussing the week's sports. And next Friday night, probably uploaded by Saturday morning, will be the Big Rican 2.0 premiere episode, as I will dive into the hilarity that is the fucking New York Mets, because I'm going to lose my shit.
Which we will discuss at some point next week, because, Michael, by the time we come to you live next week, we will be playing spring training baseball.
Dude, it is a different animal right now. The sun is higher in the sky. The days are getting longer. And the greatest sound in the world, the pop of a catcher's mitt. I'm a pitcher. It's just, that was my thing. Is I come home every night and I watch highlights from spring training with Bobby on YouTube. I got shit wrong with me. I watched Francisco Lindor take ground balls for 20 minutes yesterday.
God, I don't know what would be worse, that or like watching guys running shuttle cones, in their underwear in Indianapolis.
Shuttle cones. Because the NFL's not worth it. No, in all seriousness, I watched Lindor take ground balls. Brett Beatty, the Mets' third baseman of the now and the future. I watched him take ground balls with him. Jet Williams, who was a shortstop, but he's going to move because obviously he wants to get to the big leagues with Francisco's contract. He's down in St. Lucie. The pitchers are there. So I'm going to get into the Mets roster. I'm going to get into what I think they should have done this offseason and what they're going to need to do during the season to get a wild card. Because let's face it, the NL East is over already. It's over.
They've shown that even without Acuna, they can actually still compete for a championship.
They've shown with Acuna they won a World Series without him. Oh, but that's right. Freddie was on that team.
Because there's wind. There's wind.
That is the best clip in that one and when Rizzo and
Frederick.
Well, no, I'm talking about spring training clips. When Rizzo and Bryant were mic'd up a few years ago. And by the way, I'll tell you the story off the air because I'm going to talk about it in my episode on Friday about Pete Alonso in last season. So we will see you guys. Hopefully everybody enjoyed the Super Bowl. Thank you for joining us tonight. Jim, as always, a wonderful show, sir. Wait. Sports note, what's coming up?
I've got one in the can. If anyone saw the fallout of what happened between Ottawa and Toronto last week, we're going to actually talk about the fallout from the 5-game suspension for the Maple Leafs player taking a run after a clapper on an empty net. And when we do the video commentary, and also I think I think next week, one of the new segments we're going to debut is going to be kind of I don't want to say a poll question, but it'll be a debatable question. One of the things we'll talk about next week will be fallout from the Sports Note. Unwritten rules in sports, even if it's not your forte, that you have a big problem with.
Agreed. And I've been meaning to get a TikTok up about the shows each week, but it just seems the days just get away from me. I will get one up next week. And also I will get the TikTok up with the question that Jim and I talk about as we go along through the week.
And I'll get that up on Instagram as well.
Yeah. So we want to hear from you guys. We want to hear what you think, what unwritten rules you don't like. I know with my followers, I'm going to get a lot of baseball. But yeah, we're going to go into that next week. Of course, we're going to have all the week in other sports, any news coming out, because there's a lot of free agents left in Major League Baseball. Hey, they're all Scott Boras clients too.
So on a very, very on a bit of a personal note here, we want to thank you guys very much for being with us, but we actually also want to close out the show by saying our hearts go out to Kansas City.
Absolutely. When is it going to end, man?
We will see you guys next week. We're sorry to kill the mood, but
can't not say that.
No, you can't. It's and just like this, just like the Super Bowl, we only mentioned Taylor Swift for 51 seconds tonight.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.